Hey everyone, in this video, I'll take you through the main reasons why you have stopped improving in Valorant, so you know exactly what you need to do to start making progress yet again. As a beginner, improving in Valorant is easy. All you have to do is clock in a couple of hours, and you'll soon start noticing that you're getting more kills and winning more matches. However, this progress starts to slow down after a little while. For many players, it even comes to a halt. It can often get very frustrating when you try your best to put in the work and still not get any improvements, especially when you know how good it felt when you were making progress. Trust me, I've unfortunately been there. Fortunately though, I went past that phase by making some changes to my gameplay after figuring out why I wasn't making any progress. By the end of this video, you'll know precisely what's holding you back from improving in Valorant and what changes you need to make either to your gameplay or mindset to get back on track and start seeing results again. Without further delay, let's jump right in. Starting off, we have ignoring fundamental skills. Ignoring fundamentals is one of the most common mistakes Valorant players make. If I had $1 for every time I saw a Valorant player not using counter-strafing or having poor crosshair placement, even after they'd clocked in hundreds of hours in the game, I'd have a massive pile of cash by now. Everything you do in Valorant requires you to learn fundamental skills, or fundamentals for short. Some skills are specific to Valorant, while others are universal to all first-person shooter games. For example, aiming is a fundamental skill in Valorant, where you use your mouse to move the crosshair on the screen to dictate where the bullets land. You probably know that since it's a universal skill in all first-person shooters. However, many players tend to forget or ignore other skills, putting themselves at a massive disadvantage. Counter-strafing is probably the most overlooked of those skills, which causes players to lose more gunfights despite actually having good aim. In a nutshell, a counter-strafing resets the weapon's accuracy much faster once the player stops moving. If two players are in a gunfight and both have aimed at their opponent, the player who doesn't counter-strafe will miss their shot and lose the gunfight. To improve in Valorant, you must actively work on fundamental skills you lack. If you notice that your crosshair is pointing at the ground, work on your crosshair placement. If you lose pistol rounds often, work on getting better with pistols. Some other fundamentals you can work on include jiggle peeking, positioning, economy management, and communication. Moving on, we have relying solely on gameplay experience. If you know all the fundamental skills in Valorant and still aren't seeing any improvements, then the issue is probably linked to how you practice those skills. Whenever a player learns about a new skill, say jiggle peeking, their first instinct is to play ranked or casual matches until they get enough practice. However, that's not the correct approach. If a professional basketball player wants to work on their jump height, what do you think they will do? Well, what they won't do is rely solely on playing basketball matches. In other words, gameplay experience does not help players get better at specific skills. That's because there aren't a lot of opportunities available to practice those skills in public matches. I mean, how often can you encounter instances where you would need to jiggle peek or even fire your weapon? It's probably once or twice every round, which is not a time-efficient way to get enough practice for a particular skill. While playing more Valorant matches might help you improve your communication, positioning, or economy management, you need a proper training routine for other skills. To do that, you can try aim trainers or hop into one of the practice modes available in the game. I've seen a ton of players rely too much on gameplay experience to improve specific skills, and I've heard many of them say that they don't need a training routine because they have a lot of hours in the game. Well, if that were the case, professional Val players would have stopped training ages ago. Pro players with thousands of hours in Valorant still practice every day for even the most basic skills like aiming. Another common mistake that I see way too many Valorant players make is trying to get better at multiple skills at the same time. One of the main reasons people do this is because they want results fast. However, there are no shortcuts when it comes to making improvements, be it Valorant or anything else. Focusing on too many skills at once won't get you anywhere. All that does is make you even more frustrated about why you aren't making progress despite taking time to practice. A better approach would be to slow things down, highlight one skill you wish to improve, and then work on getting better at that skill. For example, if you feel your aim is decent but constantly die because of being at the wrong place at the wrong time, you can work on your positioning. Or if you feel as though your movement is holding you back, work on movement. You have to pick one, not five, not two, just one. If you try to practice more than one skill, you'll get overwhelmed and won't make any progress for either one of them. To make things clear, I'm not talking about one training session. You must work on a single skill for at least 1 week before shifting to another one. However, once you get the hang of all the fundamental skills, there's no problem going through a training routine for each skill every day or every other day. The fourth reason players stop improving in Valorant is because they have the wrong mindset or take the game much less seriously. One of the primary skills Valorant players lack because of this is game sense. Game sense refers to the deep understanding of the game, and it includes several aspects like predicting enemy movement or knowing when to rotate based on the round situation. It's another word for intuition, which you can get through experience. However, to improve your intuition in Valorant, you need good quality experience. Playing Valorant matches without actually thinking about what you're about to do or where you should go will give you a bad quality experience. Let's look at an example example of a player in a 1v1 on the defender's side. A non-serious player, or one with the wrong mindset, won't pay attention to the time or anything else and will randomly decide where to look for the enemy or hide brainlessly. On the other hand, a player with the correct mindset will be able to make an educated guess based on all the information available to them and act accordingly. For instance, if the time is short and there is no sign of the enemy at one plant site, they're probably rotated to the other. Or if the player has an operator and the next round won't switch sides, they would probably consider saving if there's very limited time left. Other information to consider includes the HP of both players, the last seen location of the enemy, the weapon the enemy is using, the agents we both play, and more. You'll only be able to see and effectively use this information if you're actively looking for it. For that to happen, you need to get into every Valorant match with a serious mindset. Focus on everything around you, including the positioning of players in your team, last seen location of enemies, the time remaining, your team's economy, and more. Make decisions based on all the information you have gathered. The penultimate topic is not watching your own gameplay. A key component of having the right mindset is focusing on mistakes you make while playing Valorant matches and trying to lower the frequency of those mistakes. However, this is also one of those areas where I see neglect from a lot of players. The thing is, while in a match, players are generally much more focused on the objective that's right in front of them. For example, a player might be in an intense gunfight, where the only thing going on in their mind would be how to stay alive or how to eliminate the enemy. In these situations, spotting mistakes isn't easy, especially since most mistakes are habitual. In other words, the mistakes you make in Valorant get cemented into the subconscious part of your mind after repeatedly playing the same way. For example, you probably don't remember locking a door after heading out. However, if you go back and check, you'll see that the door is locked because you do, in fact, lock it every time you go outside. Since you do it every time you go out, it enters the subconscious part of the brain. So you do it automatically without thinking about it. However, if there was a security camera right outside your door and you looked at the footage, you'd easily spot that you did lock the door. In the same way, if you see your gameplay, you can spot the mistakes you are making much more easily. You probably have already noticed this while spectating your teammates. You might have seen them make blatant mistakes like peeking too wide outside a cover, having terrible crosshair placement, or contesting the same spot they have already died several times at, while at the same time being completely unaware of what they're doing. If you aren't watching your gameplay, start now, and you likely spot a few mistakes you can start working on. The final reason why it may seem like you have stopped improving in Valorant is skill inflation. I use the term may seem like because you might actually be improving, but you can't see the progress since it's hidden. And what do I mean by that? To understand, we must look at what skill inflation means. In short, it means that the skill ceiling for a video game's player base doesn't stay at the same level. In the beginning, when it's only been a few months after the video game's launch and most of the community is a beginner figuring out how the game works, the skill cap will of course be lower. Over time, the skill cap increases and the overall player base reaches a higher skill level. Skill inflation is also one of the main reasons certain games introduce a new rank for the ranking systems. We can observe skill inflation by comparing the gameplay of high-ranked players near launch and the gameplay for the same rank after a few years. You might have already noticed this if you follow Valorant esports. Because of skill inflation, players need to reach a higher skill level, or in other words, improve in the game to achieve the same rank they were at. So if you managed to stay on the same rank for a very long time, you might have actually improved in Valorant. What I'm trying to say is if you've been practicing with dedication and you have noticed getting better at the fundamentals of the game, but aren't seeing an improvement in the number of kills or the matches you win, it doesn't necessarily mean you've stopped improving in Valorant. It's just that the other players you're versing have also improved at the same pace. Alrighty, there you have it. A few reasons why you might have stopped improving in Valorant. Consider hitting the subscribe button and the bell as well for more Valorant videos just like this one. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.